So this is going to be a quick video of me reviewing the last 2 books that I was not able to finish before I went to the library. So when I go to the library, I want to have the books shown. I don't want to be like, oh, so I read Transmetropolitan Volume 7, and I like having the book, at least at first, so you know, okay, now we're on to the next movie, or book, what have you, because I get movies and comics from the library. Pretty consistently, too. Sometimes I won't. Sometimes I'll just get nothing. It's Kindle. Yeah. There's just a notification. I wonder if there's a way I can shut off notifications when I'm on a video for the iPad. It's looking like this. Looks really weird. For those of you who don't know, those of you who are new to the channel, a lot of you are new, I am legally blind in one eye, so I cannot see, like, I see the little notification, but I can't see specifics. So it's like kind of like little, like, and a good example, and so I go close like this. And another good example is if, like, the time, to see how, like, long the recording has been going on for. Unless it's super big, I can't see it. So I go closer like this so I can actually see it. So without further ado, let's get into it. And yeah, you can tell it's getting darker out. We're starting to get darker out. I forgot completely to do this video. I was watching YMS's review of The Flash, because I just watched that last night, and you'll begin those reviews when I review the other books, or if I return those. If I finish the last 2 movies in each, Shazam and Northman, I have not watched yet. Those last 2 I haven't watched. I've watched half the movies. If I finish those and I finish the last of the OGNs, I can get to the library this week. You'll get that review early of those movies and those books. So it's 4 movies, 4 books. 4 movies, 4 books. Yeah, no, sorry, is it right? 4 movies, 4 comics. So you may not get that this week. I don't know why I thought I said the wrong thing. I said 4 movies, 4 books. I think because I heard myself say books, but not movies. It's weird. But anyways, let's get right into it. And this is kind of funny because it's two books, 2 comics, and I feel almost the exact opposite for each, but not in the way you think. Now, the first one up is Rorschach, and these are both rereads, by the way. First one up is Rorschach, which is 12 issues, and you'll see why I'm specifically stating how many issues each book has. And this is Superman American Alien, which has 7. I wish that Superman was 12, if not more, issues, and Rorschach was 7 issues. They just switched them, because this book feels too short. Not in a way that they had so much left to explore, but they didn't. Just in a sense that it's like, I want more out of this alternate timeline of Superman. And it states on the back this is not a Superman comic, and that is very true. It's more of a Clark Kent story, which just happens to be Superman. And that I really enjoyed the first time I read this book. In fact, I think I liked this book a little bit more than I did the first time, because there were a few minor issues I had. Most of the pacing. But all in all, this is a 9 out of 10 book. This is a must-read for any Superman fan. Max Landis writes this, and he needs to write more comics. Like, he has like such a unique voice, and it's to the point where it feels like a movie, but it also feels like a comic. You know, this were made into a movie. It used to be like, honestly, make this into a Superman movie. It's not be that difficult to do, because it's a pretty recent comic too. So it's not like, oh, it's too old, too dated. You know, we can't do that because it will also alienate our fans who, you know, grew up with the Man of Steel movies or Superman Returns. You know, that's going to alienate them. But it also sticks true to the character of Superman. Something that the movie, that Man of Steel, kind of didn't really fully do. And I've heard some of the recent comics haven't done either. So this would be perfect to do. So literally called Superman American Alien. What more do you need than that to know that it's a good interpretation of Superman? It's just a phenomenal book. It's pretty well paced. There's like minor. I shouldn't even mention there's minor pacing issues. It's like, think of it now, I can't even like. Yeah, I remember there was some points where I was counting how many pages we had left, but it wasn't like, you know, think of it now, it wasn't that big a deal. You know, it's kind of like, oh, this issue had more dialogue than the last issue. Last issue was very, like, a lot of splash pages, and it was a lot faster, but it took a lot quicker to read issue 1 than did issue 2 or something like that. It's kind of like, that's what I mean by minor pacing issues. Because it wasn't consistently fast-paced, is what I'm trying to say. But it was still a very good book. I want more of this. I want a Superman American Alien too. And we should have gotten this. This should have been 12 issues because they did have. You could argue they had more story to tell. And it does have a definitive ending, and there's some open ends, but it's kind of like if you really think about it, so does every ongoing comic, So you're not gonna have a definitive ending. I get that, but it's not like it has a good enough ending to where I'm not like, oh, it ended just weirdly. No, it just ended perfectly. I feel like he was given 7 issues. He was told he had 7 issues, so Max Landis worked within 7 issues. That's what I'm trying to say. But again, I still want more. Because there's still, like, without giving too much away, there's a main villain, and there's a second villain. And the second villain, yeah, that wraps up nicely, but the main villain kind of, like, without giving too much away, it makes sense why he isn't focused on too much, because he is a main villain. I guess I wouldn't be much of a spoiler to tell you. It's Lex Luthor as the main villain. I'm not going to say who the second villain is. That is a spoiler. But the main villain is Lex Luthor. That's not really a spoiler. And he's not like... There's no scene where he defeats Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor is still there at the end of the book. And still, where he was before. Just knowing who Superman is now. Because Superman stupidly makes a huge mistake. And it's honestly like one of the perfect Lex Luthor moments where he kind of tells him how much of an idiot he is for like busting into his office alone and getting this guy that was like, I think he was like mind control or something like that. It was something weird like that. That was Lex Luthor's fault. It's like, how can you even prove that? And it's like really good. Like that is how you do a villain. But yes, the second villain I will not give away. But all in all, this is a phenomenal comic. If you're not read it, if this was one of my favorite. It is one of my favorite Superman books. But this is one of my first Superman comics, and I would say this should be, if you haven't read a whole lot of Superman, this should be one of your first too. Because believe it or not, even us comic nerds, I got into Superman pretty late. Because this came out 2017, 15. I don't remember exactly. I know it was late 2010s. And I was already well versed into comics. Like it was about 2 or 3 years, I'd say. So I'd say I probably got it 18, 19. Yeah, 2018, 2019, let's say around there. I mean, maybe even earlier. Yeah, actually, see when this book came out. It's top cover. So, if anything, add a year. Or just not. Is it 2016. So yeah, I would say 2016, 2017 I got this book. And I had some Batman comics, I had some Spider-Man shows. I had a good handful of comics. And Superman was always that one that I was kind of skeptical to purchase because of whatever, so it's like, oh, he's just kind of a boring character. This completely changed my how I look at Superman, how I feel about the character. And it was just that book too, and I made me a long time Superman fan, and now I like him doubly as much. Like there's Superman comics I've read like 14 times over that are just as good as it was the first time, kind of thing. I need to read more. I need to get on that John Byrne run. Next up we have Rorschach, and this should have been 7 issues, although. I say that, but what I'm going to say now makes no sense in that it doesn't really wrap up well, and I think they could have explained things more. But I think I just need to reread them because I think there's probably like little like hints of what happened. It's just very strange. It's a very strange book. I can't even tell if I liked it or not. I liked parts of this book, but I think there's the same parts I liked when I read it the first time. I will say this: the first issue when I first read it, I absolutely hated it. And I was ready to give up, but I knew it got better, and luckily I knew I got better after that from Sal, who's a huge Tom King fan. The Comic Pop is as big a Tom King fan as I am of Garth Ennis, if not more. Like, their magnum opus Tom King book is how much I like Preacher. That's to put it into perspective, those you don't watch. I would say I still watch Comic Pop, but even though I insanely disagree with them, like to an insane degree on their views on Tom King and having him on the channel all the time, I still like Tom King. Tom King is one of those guys who he's just kind of a snake kind of character. Not a character, he's kind of a snake kind of guy, and like I don't like him at all as a person. And these comics, I like them enough. I liked the first few issues of Strange Adventures. I need to finish that. That I'll probably read next. In fact, after I read his Superman book again, I probably will go on to Strange Adventures. That might be next time. But this one, I liked it a little bit better. But like, if I gave it a 5 out of 10 last time, I give this a 5.5 out of 10. So that's what I'll give it. So this, it's a 9.5 out of 10, and this gets a 5.5 out of 10. And I still do recommend checking them both out, because not only to get your own opinions, but also because I seem to be, I would say I'm mixed with Rorschach, hence my 5.5 score. You either love this book, or you either hated this book, and somewhere in between, but not many. And I was in between. I didn't absolutely love this book, didn't absolutely hate it, but I can understand both sides of love and of hating and loving this book. Because, I mean, I do think there are some people who hate, and I'm just saying comics in general, like modern comics. I will say there are some people that get a little bit too, like, heated over it. Not, like, yelling at their screen and, like, running up the no, not like that over-exaggerated, but they kind of, like, have this, like, stigma about them, and it's kind of like, well, I mean, it's not that big a deal. The kind of thing, like, I would have to, like, react to one of their videos. So, all these guys, and they're the ones I watch on the regular, all these guys I still respect, because it just boils down to opinion at the end of the day. Someone's gonna hate a joke in a movie a lot more than someone else's, or someone's gonna hate a character in a movie, or just a plot point. Someone's gonna hate that a lot more than someone else's, and someone else is gonna be like, well, I didn't think that was that big a deal, but someone else is gonna be like, yeah, it was, and here's why, and they'll explain it to you, and you'll be like, yeah, I understand, but I still feel the same way I did 2 seconds ago. And that's how it is, and it's just opinions in general. I'm not one of those guys who's ever gonna make fun of the people, because a lot of them I have, like, they've shaped how I see movies and how I see culture in general, like celebrity culture. I would say before I watched, like, Yellow Flash and your boy Zach and all those guys, I would probably say that I liked celebrities. I'm like, oh yeah, it's a new the Margot Robbie movie, let's go check that out. And now I'm like, well, pay for reviews first. And it's kind of, and that's a poor example, but like, Amber Heard, I will not watch anything she's in. I never didn't want to watch Aquaman 2. Not just because she's in it, because I didn't like, but also because I didn't like Aquaman 1. And there's nothing that trailer that made me want to see it. But they've helped me. All those guys have helped me, see what wasn't there before, and now I do. And a lot of that, and honestly, maybe even the Imagine video, that was like my origin story for me changing my mind on celebrity culture. Because my father is a lot worse than I am about celebrity culture. And for the longest time, I was like, I don't understand that. Now we do. Which is insane to me to say that, even today. But as I say, it's that. We trailed off a little bit at the end there, but those are your reviews for those comics. Okay, it's 13 minutes. I'm going to make it to 14. So, comic reviews, maybe this coming week. No promises. And next week, which should be the 20th, if I'm not mistaken, you might get a comic call if all goes well. And you'll obviously get your hopefully you'll get a comic call, and also hopefully you'll get live obviously. It should be either way happens, live call. But that, as I say, is that. I guess I said everything I needed to say. I reviewed two books in 14 minutes, so 7 minutes per video. Thinking about it, I was also prattling on, so probably a 10-minute video.